So
Okay.
hello there from SagaraOnline. I've got Kay Nieminen here with me today. I've known Kay. I think I've probably known Kay 1 or 2 years, and I've maybe even a bit more. But I've known her through Liberation Unleashed, which is a direct pointing forum, and she has been my mentor as a guide, or she is my mentor as a guide on that forum, and she's given me loads of time and loads of energy, and she's been really kind, and she's kind of very well known for her skill in direct pointing in the circles that we move in. So I'd just like to welcome you here, Kay.
Thanks. Hi, Sagara.
Hi, great to have you on. And I'm just going to switch my camera view so that I can record both of us. That's great. Okay, so fantastic. So the idea was just to get to know a bit about you today. So I wondered maybe if we could just start. I'm interested to know how you came into a sort of life of spirituality, how you discovered Liberation Unleashed. Just wonder if you could take me through your process for that. Is that possible?
Yeah, I suppose like many, I came to spirituality through suffering. There'd come a time where I just couldn't take life anymore. That unless I found another way, well, then there's no option. I was going to step off the planet. So that was the catalyst. And from there, I started in New Age spirituality, actually. And that was, I'd done that for a couple of years of wondering, what crystal healings and all of that was actually for. I mean, I went along with it all thinking that was going to lead me somewhere or give me something, only to find out that no, there was nothing there. And I'm not against it, but it's just that it wasn't giving me what I was searching for, because I was still searching, still suffering. Nothing in my life had changed.
How old were you then?
This is going back probably 20 so years.
Right.
I had started searching, I suppose, younger through religion, but I sort of put that sort of aside, and thinking more of when I actually started a solid journey towards, finding the truth, seeking the truth.
Yeah.
But it had always been there, because to me, life had never made sense. Life confused me and never made any sense to me whatsoever. But it was I was in my late 30s when I really started to trudge down this road. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you
And
say
then
life,
from
when you say life didn't make sense, was that because you were looking for happiness and life wasn't providing you with happiness, or that life was painful and you didn't know how to get out of it, or something like that?
Yeah, just that life was so painful. I just didn't understand how to, and I went through, I did a lot of volunteer work, like drug arm and with people with issues, because I had those issues myself. Not understanding my emotions, not understanding how to deal with them, and trying all sorts of things to try and make sense of my emotions, my psychological state, and life. And I couldn't make any sense of it whatsoever. There was just nothing. It was just painful. Yeah. So that was sort of it. So it was, I had to find something, and yet there must have been something within me that was saying, well, there must be something there. There must be something to find that is different to how I'm experiencing life.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then from the New Age spirituality, I found myself A Course in Miracles, and that was really, to me, the first steps, I would say, to then finding my way to Liberation Unleashed and to where I am now. But A Course in Miracles was certainly it, and I still sometimes use or reflect back on A Course in Miracles and its words and its exercises. That still comes in for play for me now. So it was an important part of my journey to today. So yeah.
How did you find? I'm not familiar with the course. I mean, I'm familiar with the Course in Miracles, but I've never done it. So was that something you found and you actually were in a group or something, or you did online, or how does that work?
I came across it through a friend, actually. And from there, I just listened to hours and hours and days and hundreds of hours of YouTube clips of teachers of A Course in Miracles, mainly David Hoffmeister, and I just sat there day in, day out, soaking it all up, and then doing the daily exercises that they give you, because there's 365 exercises to do on a daily basis. I don't know if they did anything for me. I did the 365 days, but I didn't feel anything different or what else have you. And I really didn't understand it because my level of understanding was very shallow.
Right.
However, there was so much in the course that helped me to start to look at, the psychological self, the where the ego hides, and looking at those things, which to me was an important part or a crucial part of this journey. Finding, about special relationships. Relationships are about, more so about giving to get. There was nothing unconditional about it. That was one that really stuck to mind. And the other one, true empathy versus false empathy. False empathy being, that, oh, poor you, and yes, and I'll rub you back and try and walk in your shoes with you. Whereas, the Course says no, because what you're telling them is that they are a victim. The Course says that no, you can acknowledge that yes, they're feeling this. However, what they are feeling is not who they are. And it's to hold that space. So there's quite a few things in the Course that I used, but there was so much in there that I didn't understand. Now I do. Now that I go back and look at it, I can see, what it was all about. But back then, it was cool, way over the head.
Right, but it was.
And actually, I suppose it on itself added to the suffering because I just couldn't understand it.
Right. But at the same time, it was speaking to you somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And somewhere, I don't know where, I came across a guy online who had been a student of A Course in Miracles, and it was through him somehow, I can't remember how, that I eventually found Liberation Unleashed.
Right.
And then I thought, yeah, I found a gold mine, but it wasn't quite as simple as that either.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when was that? When did you find Liberation Unleashed?
That was February 2015.
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, can you say a little bit about what Liberation Unleashed is? Because I think you're quite qualified to do that, maybe.
Am I?
Compared to me.
Well, I suppose it basically is being shown through pointing, whether that be via dialogue or exercises, to see if you can actually find this separate finite self that you think yourself to be. And it's in the not finding that you recognize that it never was. So that's the simple thing of it. That's a simple sort of explanation of it. So it's basically to see, yes, that the self that suffers, it's not you, and actually it's not actually even there.
Yeah, great. And so when you discovered Liberation Unleashed, was that the message that you came across? Was that what attracted you?
Yes, because I thought if I saw through this idea of a separate self, that then yes, my whole life would change.
Okay.
And I would be free, and I'd never suffer again.
Okay.
And that didn't happen.
So what did happen? Can you take us through it?
Well, it's a beginning. It's not an ending. And I was so looking for an ending. I just wanted the ending, but only to find, and I suppose I felt a bit confused too, because I thought, well, I've seen through this separate self. So why am I still suffering? Why am I still reacting? Why is that all still going on? Because no one really told me that it's a beginning. It's not an ending.
Yeah.
That underneath, that there's still, years of conditioning and beliefs that need to be undone, that keep you attached to the idea of being this separate self that suffers. Yeah. And also that, and that doesn't happen in the time frame that you'd like it to. It happens in its own time frame. you know. So there was a few little home truths there that were quite disappointing after I'd gated. Yeah.
How long did your guiding take? I mean, your process in Liberation Unleashed?
I can't remember. I can't remember. See, because I had sort of already seen through the self through A Course in Miracles.
Right.
Because, you know, because of their pointers, and some of their pointers I would sort of look at, and then it would sort of pop, and I go, oh yeah, I can see that there's no self, but it was so, it was a flash in the pan. So, so I sort of already had an idea of what that was. So when I went through it, I felt it all and what else have you, but it still didn't feel real. And the reason being is because I wasn't shown at that time through my original guide, you know, about my thoughts. And that to me was one of the most crucial things that need to be looked at, is how your thoughts create your reality.
Right.
You know, in the belief in that you are this someone who is suffering. And it wasn't until my second guide, Vivian, who took me through that and took me through actual experience that, you know, some things started to fall into place.
Right.
But it took nearly a year of still continual looking after I'd gated for a sense of peace to start to arise. So yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's still a bit of a journey after that.
Okay. And you've gone on to be a guide.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best ways of really deepening what what you saw yourself. You know, being able to put it into words, being able to point to it, is a way of deepening your own looking and your own understanding. So it was important for me to be clear, and it's through that clarity. Yeah, if I hadn't had that clarity, I don't know. You know, I'd still probably be in suffering somewhere. But that clarity of what my actual experience is and what my thoughts are, to be able to point those to others really helped me to clarify it for myself. So I was giving to them, but I was also giving to myself. So it was a win-win situation there.
Yeah, great. And I mean, has suffering ceased for you? How?
Yeah, hallelujah. Yes. Party time. Yeah, yeah. There's just nothing there. There's no, oh, it was like what we said the other day, you know, there's no center there. I mean, it's not about me anymore. And it's so wonderful that those me stories are gone, you know, about how everything affected me and my emotions. And it was just that it was exhausting being a me, you know, that needy psychological me. It was exhausting. And that's no longer there. So what happens doesn't really matter. Emotions come and go, but there's no attachment to it. So there's no suffering.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's worth gold, that is.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, do you experience like, could you experience anger and stuff like that? How would that come and go for you?
Yeah, I still occasionally, not often. I used to be an angry ant. That was my nickname, I tell you. But sometimes I still get angry. Yes, but it doesn't bother me, because the anger arises. Whatever happens, happens, and then it's gone. It doesn't sit down. I don't mull on it all day and think about how I shouldn't have gotten angry, or they shouldn't have done this. You know, all that story and I can't think of that word, all that stuff that goes on with it. So yeah. So, but yeah, not often, but yes. But I find more so these days is there's a passion, which a lot of people interpret as anger, but it's not anger. It's a passion. It's I feel passionate about things, and it comes out in my voice and what else have you, and I'm quite well, what's passion is passion. So that's there quite a lot now, but not anger.
Mm. Mm.
So yes.
And did you find that after, I mean, my experience after Liberation Unleashed was that I stopped reading Buddhist books, for example. It was like I started just, like, the teachings kind of went away. I mean, I still resonate with certain teachers, and I still sort of follow. I don't really follow them, but you know what I mean. I'll check out certain teachers, but I'm not looking for the teaching anymore. Was that your experience?
Yes. I don't like reading anymore. I used to be an avid reader.
Yeah.
I'm flat out reading a paragraph these days. So any long posts on Facebook, forget it. But I will say, like, I went in 2016. I found that place of the witness. So I was able to observe things without really getting stuck in them. Although I was still having reactions and what else have you. So it wasn't a real peace. And then I was in that phase for a couple of years, and then that fell away, and I was back into where I was feeling the emotions and thoughts. I was back into engaging with them totally, and that went on for about 9 months, and that was quite severe too. A lot of fear came up, a lot of stuff that still hadn't been looked at, deeper stuff of conditioning and beliefs that hadn't been looked at came up. And then that something, whatever it is, that clicked, then finally this sort of piece has remained. So during that period, I went back to listening to Rupert and listening to everybody to try and make some sort of sense of why I had fallen off the perch, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yes, but nowadays not so much. Nowadays I like to listen if I just feel like having a listen, but not to really, gain anything from it. It's just nice to listen to. As you said, sometimes it's just nice to listen to some teachings or what else have you.
Yeah.
But no, I don't read, and I don't need to. There's no seeking. There's no seeking for anything.
So how do you, I mean, if something does come up, are you able to explain, is your process just a continuation of the looking that you did in Liberation Unleashed, or do you have different methods?
It just happens itself now.
Right.
I don't have to do anything. It just automatically happens. I think I did so much looking back then.
Yeah.
And also when you have so many realizations that they just fall away. So even if I find myself like being a little bit more thought bound, something will bring me out of it. Go, oh look, I've just been caught up in these thoughts, but I don't have to do anything. It just happens automatically now. So there's no doing whatsoever. So that's been really good too. Yeah. I do, however, like there is still some conditioning that is at a deeper level, and when I feel triggered, I will use processes that I was taught because I've done 2 diplomas of counselling. So I'll use some of those tools to take me down to see what it is that's still still there in the murkiness.
Okay.
And they're handy, those tools.
And that's a process of just becoming aware of what it is that's going on.
Well, it's becoming aware of what emotion has been triggered, and then where have I felt that? When did I feel that same emotion before? And then usually up comes some sort of images of something that's happened in childhood, yeah. And then I just drop through all the emotions until I come to the layer of peace, and then everything's fine. And within that doing, it releases some sort of layer. But it always keeps coming round and round until it's completely gone. So, life to me is a bit like a spiral, because you think, oh, well, geez, I only looked at that 2 months ago. How come the same sort of things coming up again? Because there's just layers and layers and layers that need to be undone.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, because it's very gentle. I think it'd be quite violent to have it all undone in one big hit. I think that would be a lot to process and a lot to go through. So I'm appreciative of how life undoes the undoing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you see that, I guess you see that as the process is just more and more of that kind of uncovering of deeper patterns or deeper stuff that gradually come into the light, if you like, to be.
Yeah. The one thing I took away from and I've held on to in A Course in Miracles is peace of mind. And if my peace of mind has been disturbed, well, then there's something that still I haven't uncovered, because as they say in the Course, no upset is a small upset. if something is upsetting you, it's upsetting you, and it's something to look at. There are times when I can feel a sensation in the body, but I know that it's nothing to engage with. It's those ones that I have a reaction to, and I really want to, somehow verbalize it or do something. Those reactions, that's what I look at. But there's sensations we have that come up and go, oh yeah, well, whatever that is, and it just goes on by. But it's those ones that I can see that I'm having an actual body sensation, then there's a desire to react somehow.
Yeah.
So I look at them all.
Yeah.
I look at them all.
Great. I think what comes across for me is that you're taking full responsibility for everything as well, aren't you? So if something triggers you, you look at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is really powerful.
Yeah, well, no use me wanting to change the world out there. It's not out there that it's happening, it's within me. And that's something that I've really taken on board. So it's all about me, but also then having to learn what is mine and what is another's. Because otherwise you're going to be working on yourself forever if you think that, that they're saying something to you, means something to you. Byron Katie says something along the lines of, if someone says something to her, she'll say thank you and look at it, and if it doesn't belong to her, she'll just let it go.
Right.
So, because others have to be accountable for themselves too. I can't be accountable for them and myself. They're responsible for their own awakening and their own undoing.
Yeah. Have you done much Byron Katie work or any?
Yeah, I really like Byron Katie's work. I did a diploma of holistic counselling back in 2010, 2012, and part of that was the work of Byron Katie. And to look at thoughts, that was a really good way to start to look at thoughts, and to turn it around so that you can see, how do you feel with that thought, and then process the feelings at that time, and then to turn it around and, who would you be without that thought? And then you feel the freedom of who would I be without that thought, and then do the turnarounds. It was, again, it's a slow peeling away, but that's the way it is. But yes, I like the work of Byron Katie.
Could you say something about, I think you said something to me the other day, something about, I'll probably misquote you here, so bear with me, but something like, you realize that non-duality wasn't the whole picture or something. Do you remember that?
Oh,
we were talking about manifestation and as opposed to people who practice manifestation as opposed to non-duality.
I think there's a lot of non-dual, where you're an illusion, everything's an illusion.
Yeah.
And I think non-dual is great because it gets people where, to a point. But as Muji says, you need a thorn to dig out a thorn, and then you need to get rid of that thorn. And even A Course in Miracles says something along the lines of, because they talk about God, empty your mind, empty your mind of everything, empty your mind of this course and come to God empty-handed. In other words, keep hold of nothing.
Yeah.
And non-dual to me is a bit that way where it becomes rather dogmatic. And I was very much like that originally. No one, there's no one here, there's nothing happening. And that's just starting to change. There's something here, I don't know what it is. But there's a me who's answering to the name of Kay. I just don't know what it is. And it's about living life now. It's not about not being here or seeing everything as illusion. It's about grounding myself in life and living life to its fullest. It's grounding in life, living all the emotions and living everything. It's just being here. I don't know how else to say it, but yes. So the non-dual to me is great, and it's great for pointers, but ultimately it's still a tool.
Yeah, no, I totally relate, and I that was my experience after Liberation Unleashed. Is that I was I didn't exist. everything didn't exist, death didn't
Yeah.
exist, and like I really felt that for a while, and but it's easy, I think, to get trapped there, isn't it? And it's easy to think that, but actually, I've got kids and I've got a life and a wife, and it's like you have to get on. You have
Yes.
you have to come back, otherwise you just turn into this kind of weird idiot. So, I don't,
Yeah.
well, like
Because
I
I
did
mean,
anyway. But yeah,
your kids, I mean, they're not going to go, oh, look, daddy doesn't realize that we don't, that daddy thinks that we don't exist. So it's okay. We'll be hungry. It doesn't work like that.
yeah,
And what's that Zen proverb? I think before enlightenment, there's mountains. You see mountains.
yeah,
And then during that middle period, there's no mountains. And then at the end, there's mountains.
yeah,
So it's just a whole sort of 360 thing.
yeah,
So you come back to, yes, there's mountains and there's a door there and there's a dog. It's just that there's an understanding. I think that it's more so that then the interpretations, your perception of them are different.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'd agree. So it's like it's almost like you leave the world and then you come back to it, but you're freer when you come back. But
Yeah,
that seems like even that phrase points to that being a stage on the path almost. It's like that.
yeah,
I mean, I think people do a lot of damage in that stage because I mean, I think I did. It's like you come out, you have this, you have this freeing up, and then you turn into some kind of I can't remember the word, evangelical, non-dualist or something, and then everyone goes, "Well, I'm not going to do that," and it's almost like, and I've seen that with, say, I've been involved in another sort of direct pointing forum, the 10 fetters, and sometimes it's like what's coming across from people is kind of quite off-putting, probably
yeah,
from me as well. It has been like that in the past, so it's a shame in a way, but it seems like it's a necessary. It seems like a lot of people go through that.
yep. It seems to be part and parcel of the journey. So and that's okay. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. There's this thing of everyone's illusion and what else have you. But as soon as you get something wrong or say something incorrect or whatever, people are pouncing on you.
Yeah,
The whole idea of, well, there's nobody there is forgotten. Yeah, there's someone there who's who's being wrong and incorrect, and we're going to correct them. I love how this sort of slips in and out.
yeah, yeah. So, so with your guiding on liberation unleashed, I mean, what I'm just sort of wondering if there's anything you could say about what are the main hindrances you think people. I don't know. Would it be worth exploring that, or
I
like
think mainly, sorry,
what stops people from seeing? Do you think
fear, the
fear?
fear of the unknown. Everyone wants to feel the freedom, because there's so much out there now. You can read so much, and there's so much on YouTube and Facebook pages and websites all about awakening. And I go, yeah, I want some of that. But the fear of the unknown is quite big, and a lot of people don't realize it. Well, there has to be a me. There's someone here choosing, or there's someone here doing something. You go, well, no, there's not. So who are they without that story of being a me? And you
Right.
ask them that, and there's fear because, well, who am I then? I must be a nothing. I'll just disappear. you know.
Yeah.
So I'd say fear of the unknown. Plus, on the flip side, is the expectations. That somehow, there'll be $1 million in the bank. They'll be forever happy. They'll never have another emotion. They'll be robots. They don't realise that never have another emotion again. You'd be a robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of those things, and then when you, as I read somewhere the other day, the ego doesn't like hearing that what is here now is it. This is it. It's very disappointing to an ego that's trying to awaken.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's I think that's true. And like for someone like me who dreamed of I was kind of we were, how do I say it? We were led to believe. It felt like we were led to believe that the Buddha sat on a lotus leaf, emulating rays of beautiful light is how we'd become. And so in a way, there was a sort of subtle search for that perfection, and maybe not that subtle actually, but there was a search for that perfection, and it's really difficult. Like I remember when I was being guided by Alona, that I just kept coming back with all this Buddhist stuff, and she said to me at some point, "Buddhism won't help you here, Sagara." And that was like a real turning point for me, because I had nothing to rely on then, but
yes,
yeah,
a crux to hold on to.
Yeah, all those concepts, isn't it, that you hold on to. Yeah. So, but,
yeah.
And I suppose I've only got one other thing I really wanted to ask, which was just when you said, and we said that it was almost like something spoke to you, like A Course in Miracles spoke to you. But what do you think's going on there? It's like some people seem to resonate, and other people just don't, not even interested. What do you think?
I think part of that too was because of I didn't have a religious upbringing, but there were, my mum was a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
My dad was an atheist. But mum wasn't a practicing Jehovah's Witness per se, but she still had those principles or philosophies or whatever the word is. And so, she would talk to us about it now and again, or I'd ask her questions. And so my first foray when I left home and wanting to follow some sort of something, because there's something in me, that wanted something, it was into, becoming a Jehovah's Witness. Where was I going with that? Oh, and so there was that, the God and Jesus and all that. So I think the Course spoke to me because of those terms of God and Jesus. Although before that, because because of the suffering, and I saw the suffering in the world, I got to hate God. And so I turned my back on God and told him, there you go, I'm done with you. And so I didn't do anything with God for years. And then when I started back on the journey, back onto the, when I New Age spirituality, God came back into my life. And I think the Course, because of the terminology and everything else, it spoke to me. And that was because it was Christian terminology, non-dual, using Christian terminology. So that sort of, yeah.
Where are you with God now?
I don't really know. It's a strange thing, because again, I don't know where I heard it, but it was like people saying that you put God aside because there is no God, and yet as you come back around to being grounded back into life, there is this thing about, there is a God. I don't know how to explain it, but to me, to me, there's God, or whatever you want to call it, universal source or whatever. There is, a source. I'm part of that source. I'm not the overall source. I am a part of that source. But there is what would you say, an overlaying source, and that you can call it God. Yeah.
So I said one last question, but do you experience devotion, or I think it's bhakti, isn't it? Do you experience that?
Yeah, because who else am I going to? I like, there are just feelings of gratitude that come up, and to me that's devotion. There's a devotion to something. I'm grateful to something. Yeah. So there has to be a something, and I don't hold on to that as fact. But to me, there's something there. So there's some devotion to something, and I don't know what that is. But why else do these feelings of gratitude? They just come up, and these feelings of love. This amazing love that permeates the body at times. Where does that come from? I'm not creating it. I'm not bringing it in saying, I think I'll just feel like this overwhelming love now, bring it on. I'll do, something does it. Yeah. So there's something there. So, and I'm not that, I like the idea that there's something there. I think that's that's comforting. But as I said, I don't hold on to it. It's not something, it's not a crux, but it's just something now that's come back around. That, yeah, there's a devotion. There's a thank you. I say thank you. Who am I saying thank you to? You know, I'm not talking to myself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there is a devotion, and I like that. I like that. I think that's an important part of this, where this part of my journey. Yeah.
I've had that recently, so it's like, but it, you know, from I can sort of pick it apart from a direct point of view. It's like you think, well, but at the same time I feel it, so it's like,
yeah,
kind of, so it was a bit, I was interested. I always felt a bit embarrassed about saying it in some way because I can't explain it, and
yes,
yeah,
I can't either, because yes, direct pointing, it goes, well, you know, there's nothing, but yet there's something, and I don't know what it is. However, it feels good, and yeah, so I'm not going to question it, you know. And if it's called devotion, and if it's called God, so be it. I'm not going to quibble over words or semantics or whatever. It's there, whatever that is. No, and it's nice. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just there. I'm grateful for it, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, great.
You know. Yeah. So yeah, there was something that we were speaking about just a moment ago. No, it's gone. Never mind. I think it had something to do with LU. Oh, the only other thing that, yes, too, which I wanted to say is part of all of this is I also started my own Facebook group, and it was started off as direct pointing, and that was all it was going to be. You know, there's this no illusions. There's nothing out there. It's just straight, nothing else. You know, undiluted, non-dual pointing. But I found that it has been. I have watched the page change as I have evolved, and it's been interesting to watch. You know, if I go back right to the beginning, if I could scroll all the way back, I would cringe at what I would, you know, at what I'd written or anything else, because it was so dogmatic. There was no, it was black and white. It was, and I'm so grateful the day that I lost that black and white thinking. But yeah, so anything like that I have found has been a blessing, because you have to keep looking, or you have to keep questioning until it becomes clear. And clarity, well, you need clarity, don't you? Otherwise you're lost.
Yeah.
So it's been an important part of my whole journey is the guiding, and then this Facebook page to keep it, and the insights that I get you know, are marvelous, the experiences. So yeah.
Is that open to everybody, or is it for people?
Yeah. No, it's open to everybody. It is a private group, so whoever finds their way there usually finds it by word of mouth. It's only a small group, but yeah, as I said, it's just changed as I have changed, as I've evolved. The page has evolved.
Right.
So I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because my writing has changed. You know, I still can point to, you know, what our direct experience is, and still can be clear about it. But now this other side that's coming in, it's this, I don't know, this unity consciousness, or this heart opening, or whatever it's called, that is now opening up for me. That's starting to come through. So yeah, it's all amazing.
Yeah, great. And I guess, like, looking back, we had to be something different, didn't we? I mean, I was reading something the other day, it's totally unrelated, but it said something like, a winner wasn't always a winner. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have to go through the process to be where you are.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you can go, oh, did I really say that? But in a way, you had to be like that, didn't you? So,
yeah. And even looking back, I can see where I thought I was clear in my own mind, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, because there's that level. So you're at this level, and you think, oh yeah, that's clear. Until then there's the next level, and oh, hang on a minute, I wasn't so clear. This is clear. Oh, hang on, and you keep until that's just the way it goes. So there's no sort of absolutes.
Yeah.
It just keeps evolving, and I think that's what this process is. You keep evolving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing too. Yes, wanting to be a saint. I went through that, needing to be perfection, wanting to be saintly. Being perfect. That was a crucial period. That was not crucial. It's like being on the crucifix. It was just horrible, needing to be perfect, needing to be able to say the right thing, act the right way, have the right feelings. That idea of perfection, it was horrible. And I went through that stage for a long time. I think that was even pre, ever even starting the spiritual journey. There was always this idea of needing to be perfect somehow. So, and I'm glad that that's gone, because it is what it is in any moment. It's all just happening. So it is what it is. There is no perfection. And yet there is, because how I respond to anything in this moment is perfect, because that's how the response is. It couldn't have been any different.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that I spoke about Buddhism before, and the Buddha, that idea of perfection, but it probably is in the culture or somewhere, or it probably, like what you say, it probably predates that. And I think that maybe it's some sense of lack or deficiency, and this desire to kind of be rid of that and to be perfect or something. I think I can often blame the religion, but probably the religion has some effect on that. But I think maybe it's earlier childhood, which is what we're looking at, isn't it, when things come up. And
also, I think too, for many years, I had this sense within me of this gentleness, this love that was there, but I could never access it. It was always, and I knew it was there until I finally realized a couple of months back that was like the self yearning the self. So that was also always there, and that's finally being uncovered. This I don't know, this softness, this gentleness, this I wouldn't call it love, but it is. I don't know what other word for it. And that is now coming out more so. So that was always there as a carrot, so to speak. But I never knew that it was within me or what it was. I always thought that it was my mother, because that's how her gentleness felt like to me. But it wasn't that at all. So within us, I think there is always something that's calling out for itself.
Yeah.
So that, as you said, that sort of came to mind. But there's that yearning, or there's that not a drive, but a desire.
Yeah, I like that. Something within us that's calling out for itself. Yeah. Resonates. Lovely.
So I don't know how much wisdom I've been able to impart or anything else. All I know is it's been a rough. It's had its moments, this journey. Some really, really horrendous moments where you think, I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
Because the mind is vicious. The mind is absolutely vicious when it wants to be. But when you sort of come out through the other side of that, it's you think, well, yes, it's lovely. It was all worth it. Would I have changed? Would I change anything now? No, because it all needed to be for me to be here now.
Yeah.
So, but ask me that when I was back there thinking, no. Oh dear.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to say, or?
No, I don't know. No, probably no.
Yeah. No, it's really,
No.
really interesting, and so thank you for coming on. Maybe if this carries on, maybe I'll get you back on in the future, and we'll talk some more.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. But thank you for the invite and the opportunity.
Thank you.
You have a great day.